When was the last time you walked around with a pocket full of banknotes? I can barely remember. Well, the demand for hard cash is declining around the world, and this is partially due to the rise of card payments, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. But considering the rise in cybercrime, should we be using more plastic or cash? Well, we speak to an expert in cybercrime, Anna Collard from KnowBe4 AFRICA. A very good morning to you, Anna. This country is rife with crime.
Good morning. And
it's rife with violent crime. So if I'm walking around with a wallet full of cash and I get robbed, I need not say more. But now there's also cybercrime, right? Which then means that I could also have my money lost on internet transfers, via my banking apps. So what should we do? Because banknotes are not being used anymore, especially in this country. But then there is the element of cybercrime. Where do we go as people?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks so much. I agree. I think this is also why you'll find that, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, we've had such a massive adoption of mobile, transactions, mobile payments, mobile banking. In fact, in Southern Africa, you find that people pay more via their mobile phone than anywhere else in the world. So that's quite something. And it does stem from the fact that it's just, it's dangerous walking around with a wad of cash. In fact, M-Pesa, which is the mobile payment solution that was invented in Kenya, it's a couple of years ago, they came up with that solution because of the bus drivers not wanting to get robbed all the time. Mm. And it's in a way, it's like an African solution for Africans. And it's also why we are actually really in the forefront of mobile financial solutions and development, which is really cool. And I would still say, even though my background is in cybercrime and there is a lot that we need to be aware of, that it is much safer to, to not walk around with a wad of cash. We just have to be wary of what can happen and, protect our, let's call it, our digital goods and our mobile devices, accordingly.
I think it speaks to this, Anna, perhaps a matter of education, right? And I talk education because I myself will walk up to an ATM and will see, another Morena, an older Morena, who's standing there taking a lot longer than I would at the ATM. And that speaks to a lot about just their struggles to navigate the ATM, which then leaves them vulnerable to a younger, smarter, more criminal Morena walking up to them and saying, let me help you real quick, and then I take their cash. So is it maybe an opportunity for, basic education? You start teaching these things in the basic education level so that when people grow up, they understand how to navigate the internet a lot better. But then also in so doing, while you're educating you yourselves as industries, IT industries, you just start beefing up cybersecurity.
100%. I mean, you totally hit the nail on its head. It is about education. In fact, one of the things that I strongly believe in is that being cyber smart or sort of digitally aware is no longer a tech skill, it's a life skill. I mean, we can't really differentiate between living offline or online. We're all on these devices all the time. So these two worlds are really merging. And it's, we teach our children how to be street smart and, sort of safety when you go outside in terms of, the cars and etc. But we have to do the same with the internet and how to use digital devices and conduct ourselves and for especially how to spot sort of what's called social engineering scams, which are basically human hacking attacks that try to trick us in the digital world. A good example of that would be if you receive a phone call pretending to be from your bank. In fact, this has happened to my mother-in-law just the other day. Perfect local accent. They have a lot of information about you already because, there have been quite a few data breaches. And with those data breaches, the information of, let's say, your ID number, your address, even your bank account details might already be out there for these criminals to use. So when they call you and they sort of, they say, oh, this is your ID number, this is your address, you think it's believable, right? And that's what they do. So you have to be so careful that when you receive anything unsolicitedly, particularly if they want your PIN, your banking one-time password, that's definitely a scam. In fact, what you should do anytime when you receive a phone call from anyone pretending either the bank or the telecommunications provider, you just say, look, thanks so much. I'm just going to call you back real quick. And then you call them back, not on the number that they give you, but on the number that you either have saved already or that you can look up on the internet. So it's those kind of things to be wary of, like literally your emotions, like when you receive a phone call that says, oh, there's like money coming off your account, then your emotions get triggered. That's a warning sign. So anytime you receive anything that's sort of emotionally triggering, also if it's a WhatsApp message or SMS or email, that's what they use. They use like triggers to make your heart rate go up and then to do things that you wouldn't usually do. So that's a warning sign, and we have to really teach everyone. It's actually not anything technical, right? It's more about, hey, be aware that these scammers are out there. Yeah. They're using these emotional, psychological tricks, and just don't fall for it. Don't trust anyone, unfortunately, in anything that's incoming.
One of the things I'm going to sort of shift away, but still within topic. One of the things that have interested a lot of people, I think, is what is it with the American banking system? Why do you see a lot of these big people, and I mean big as in rich people, walking around with wads of cash? Like, for them to prove that they're rich, I will speak of a Floyd Money Mayweather, for example. He'll always have stacks of cash just to show that he's rich. And I was led to know that it's because their banking system is really not that up to scratch. It's not that intelligent. And you made a great point to say that South Africa is actually one of the leaders in, sort of internet banking, online banking, and just the innovation in banking around the world. And how did we get it right? What is it that we can teach the United States of America? That stop with the checks, stop with the allowing people to just walk in and walk out with $1 million of cash. How did we get that right?
And yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because it's so true. When I first went to the States, I was amazed that they, when you pay in a restaurant, they still walk away. The waiter still would walk away with your credit card. That would never happen here anymore, right? Like, we're so conditioned already in South Africa, and I think the rest of Africa, to use more modern ways of payments, to use on the credit cards, it's called these EMV chip cards. They still, in a lot of cases, they were using the magnetic strip at the back, which is totally outdated from a technology point of view. They still use checks. They still use, even the company that I work for, which has an American head office, they used to hand out cash as bonuses to the employees. Like, I think they might even still do that now. So it is a cultural thing, and I think that the fact that we had this problem, this challenge with the crime, like I said, in Kenya, that's where it really started a couple of years ago. The fact that we have a more risk sort of conscious culture or society in general, and I think a more greenfield technology environment allows for a different culture, and allows also for the financial institutions to be more innovative. And it's awesome, because when I have visitors from overseas, they're always amazed, like, when you show them SnapScan and Zapper and all the other mobile payment solutions that were here before we had Apple Pay, right? So we really are quite an early adopter, and I think that's something we should be proud of and should embrace more, with the caveat of obviously making sure we teach everyone how to be aware of the risks that come with anything we use online.